Have you ever felt it? That strange compulsive pressure right after you've made a decision. The moment you say, no. The moment you choose a path they didn't expect. The moment you finally draw a line in the sand. A quiet panic sets in. And with it, an urge. An urge to explain. To justify. To build a case for your own choice, as if you were on trial. You start composing the email in your head. You rehearse the text message. You prepare the speech, the one that will make them understand, the one that will make them approve. Why? You believe you're seeking clarity. You tell yourself it's about being reasonable, open and kind. But that is a lie. A beautiful, elegant lie your fear tells you to keep you small. You are not explaining. You are asking for permission for a decision you've already made. You are apologizing for your own sovereignty. Let that sink in. Every time you justify your boundaries, you are teaching the world that your boundaries are negotiable. Every time you defend your no, you are signaling that it can be turned into a yes. You think you're holding a shield, but you're holding up a sign that reads, "My conviction is weak. Please push here." Friedrich Nietzsche would not call this politeness. He would call it sickness. The sickness of the herd. The deep instinctual terror of standing apart from the group. You explain because you are afraid. Afraid of their judgment. Afraid of their disapproval. Afraid of the silence that will follow when you stop trying to please them. You offer up your reasons like a sacrifice, hoping they will grant you absolution for the crime of having your own will. You want them to say, "It's okay, we understand. You are excused." But powerful people don't ask to be excused from their own lives. They don't stand in a courtroom of their own making. They understand a truth you have been trained to forget. Explanation is not a display of intelligence. It's an admission of weakness, and in the silent, brutal calculus of power, weakness is always an invitation. Let's be clear. This is not about being a tyrant. It's not about being unkind. It's about understanding the physics of human dynamics. Nietzsche Machiavelli wrote for princes, for leaders, for those who understood that power has its own grammar. And that grammar is written in actions, not in apologies. When you explain yourself, you are making a critical strategic error. You are handing your opponent a map of your mind. Your reasons become their weapons. Your vulnerabilities become their targets. You say, "I can't come out tonight. I need to rest because I'm feeling overwhelmed." What they hear is, "I am fragile. My resolve is low. I can be guilt-tripped." You say, "I'm leaving this job because my values are no longer aligned with the company's direction." What they hear is, "I am idealistic. I can be manipulated with appeals to emotion and purpose." You say, "I'm not ready for a relationship right now. I need to work on myself." What they hear is, "I am insecure. My boundaries are temporary. Keep trying." Your explanation is a confession. It's a guided tour of your own insecurities. A powerful person doesn't do this. Their action is the statement. Their decision is the declaration. Their no is not the beginning of a negotiation. It is the end of the conversation. There is no void to fill. No awkward silence to smooth over. Their presence is so rooted in their own choice that the choice itself becomes an unshakable reality. People don't argue with the reality. They adjust to it. You have spent your life trying to get others to agree with your choices. But agreement is irrelevant. Respect is not born from agreement. It is born from conviction. When you stop explaining, you force the world to deal with your action, not your reasoning. You take away their power to debate your life. You remove the levers they have grown so accustomed to pulling. And what happens when the levers are gone? They are left facing the raw, undeniable fact of your will. At first, this will feel like violence. It will feel rude, abrupt, cold. That's because you have been conditioned to see your own comfort as secondary. You have been taught that a smooth interaction is more important than a respected boundary. Machiavelli would say you are choosing to be loved over being feared. But in this context, feared doesn't mean terror. It means respected. It means being seen as a person whose decisions have weight, whose presence is not a resource to be endlessly consumed. You are not being cruel. You are being clear. And in a world of noise, manipulation, and hidden agendas, clarity is the ultimate power. So why is it so hard? Why does the unexplained no catch in your throat like a stone? Because you have been poisoned by the idea of being good. Nietzsche saw this as the most profound sickness of the modern soul, the slave morality, the morality of the herd. It teaches you that your worth is measured by your utility to others. Your goodness is defined by your agreeableness. Your virtue is your availability. You are a good person if you are accommodating. You are a good person if you don't cause trouble. You are a good person if you make yourself small to make others comfortable. And the opposite of good is selfish. That is the word they will use. It is the weapon the herd uses to keep its members in line. The moment you choose yourself, the moment you act from your own center, the moment you stop explaining, they will call you selfish. They will call you difficult. They will say you've changed. And they are right. You have. You have stopped being a predictable, pleasing reflection of their needs. You have begun the terrifying, exhilarating process of becoming a person. Nietzsche called the one who breaks from the herd the Übermensch, the overman, not a master of others, but a master of himself, someone who creates their own values. Whose good is not defined by the crowd, but by the fire of their own will. This person doesn't explain their art. They create it. They don't explain their love. They live it. They don't explain their choices. They are their choices. Your compulsion to explain is the chains of that slave morality rattling. You are checking with the masters. Is this okay? Do I have your permission to exist on my own terms? The master is not a person. It's an idea. The idea that you are not enough on your own. The idea that your existence must be justified, validated, and approved by an external source. This is why silence is so terrifying. In that silence, you're alone with your decision. There is no praise, no validation, no comforting nod of approval from the herd. There is only you, and the raw, untamed power of your own sovereign will. You have been running from that power your whole life. You've been dressing it up in explanations and justifications, trying to make it look harmless, palatable, good. Stop. Let your power be what it is. Let your choice be what it is. Sharp, clear, unyielding. The fear you feel is not a sign you are doing something wrong. It is the sign you are finally doing something right. It is the feeling of a cage breaking. There is a silent contract that governs your life. You didn't sign it with a pen. You signed it with your behavior. Every time you explained away your needs. Every time you said it's fine when it wasn't. Every time you sacrificed your peace for their comfort. You are adding another clause to the contract. The contract that says, my needs come second. My time is infinitely divisible. My boundaries are suggestions. People don't respond to who you say you are. They respond to the terms of this contract. They have learned that if they push, you will fold. You will scramble to justify yourself. If they act disappointed, you will feel a surge of guilt and rush to repair their feelings. You have trained them to treat you this way. Not consciously, not maliciously, but through a pattern of self-abandonment. And now you are trapped by it. You feel drained, resentful, and unseen. You wonder why no one respects your time or your energy. It's because the contract you wrote with your own behavior says it isn't valuable. So how do you burn the contract? Not with a big announcement, not with a dramatic confrontation, not with a long, tearful explanation of how you're going to change. That is the old way. That is just another plea for them to approve of your new terms. You rewrite the contract with action, one unexplained decision at a time. You say, no. And when they ask why, you say, because I'm not able to. No further details, no apology. You make a choice. And when they question it, you say, I've already decided. You don't defend the decision. You state its existence. You leave the party early. You turn off your phone. You don't reply to the baiting text message. Each of these moments is a new clause, written in the ink of silence and steel. At first there will be resistance. They will push against the new terms. This is a test. They will be confused and unsettled. They will call you selfish, just as Nietzsche predicted. They are telling you, "I don't like the new contract. The old one served me better." And this is where you must hold the line. Your silence, your refusal to get drawn back into the courtroom, is what ratifies the new agreement. You are being firm. You are not being unavailable. You are being sovereign. Some people will leave your life. Let them swing. They were not in a relationship with you. They were in a relationship with your utility, with the role you played, with the contract. The ones who stay, they will adjust. They will learn the new grammar of your power. They will begin to respect you, not because they agree with you, but because they have no other choice. Your conviction leaves them no room for negotiation. This is how you change your life, not by explaining it, but by living it, so forcefully and authentically, that the world has no choice but to recalibrate around you. The person who changes your life is not the one who makes a grand speech. It's the one who stops speaking and starts being. Let's dissect that moment. The moment the urge to justify rises in your throat. What does it feel like? It's a heat in your chest, a frantic energy in your mind, scrambling for the right words. The perfect excuse. The unassailable reason. It's a physical tightening. A neurological siren screaming, "Danger! Social rejection imminent!" This is an addiction. You are addicted to approval. And the explanation is your fix. It's a drug that gives you a momentary hit of relief. The instant you start explaining, the social pressure seems to decrease. Social reprulan. You've given them something to chew on. You've demonstrated your submission to the conversational ritual. You've shown that you are still a reasonable member of the tribe. But like any drug, the relief is temporary. And the long-term cost is your soul. Because after the relief comes the erosion, the slow, grinding away of your self-respect. You walk away from the conversation feeling hollow. You gave up a piece of your sovereignty for a moment of social ease. You sold your power for the currency of being understood. This is a terrible bargain. Machiavelli would laugh at this. To trade a position of strength for a feeling of comfort? It's strategic suicide. The powerful understand that discomfort is the price of sovereignty. The awkward silence after an unexplained no is not a problem to be solved. It is a territory to be occupied. It is a space where your power grows. You must learn to sit in that silence, to breathe in that discomfort, to let their confusion be their problem, not yours. When you feel the urge to explain, recognize it for what it is, a withdrawal symptom. Your nervous system is crying out for its usual dose of external validation. Don't give it the fix. Sit with the craving, let the anxiety pass through you without acting on it. This is the training. This is the work. Each time you resist the urge to justify, you are rewiring your brain. You are teaching your own body that your survival does not depend on the approval of others. You are building a new foundation for your sense of self, one made of internal resolve, not external praise. Think of your energy as a finite resource, a reservoir of power. Every explanation is a crack in that reservoir. Your power, your focus, your very life force is leaking out, trying to manage the perceptions of others. You spend hours crafting the perfect email to decline an invitation. You lose sleep replaying a conversation, wondering if you should have explained yourself better. You drain your creative energy trying to justify your life path to people who will never understand it. Imagine what you could build with that energy. Imagine the clarity you would have if it were all contained within you. Held. Protected. Concentrated. This is the energy of the creator, the leader, the sovereign individual. They do not leak. Their energy is directed inward, to their purpose, and outward, into their actions, not into the bottomless pit of other people's opinions. When you refuse to explain yourself, you are plugging the leaks. You are reclaiming your own power. The world will feel this. They won't know why, but they will sense a shift in your presence. You will seem denser, more real. Your silence will have more weight than your old explanations ever did. Bolaha. Because it is a silence born not of fear, but of certainty. A silence that says, I am here. This is my space. My decision is made. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. The congruence of your inner will and your outer action. And there is nothing more powerful on this earth. Now, let's talk about the gaze of others. For your entire life you have used other people as a mirror. You look at them to see yourself. D of 100. You adjust your posture, your words, your very personality, based on the reflection you see in their eyes. When they smile, you feel you are good. When they frown, you feel you are bad. When they look confused, you rush to explain, to change their expression, to fix your own reflection. You have become a professional manager of your own reflection in the eyes of others. This is a full-time job, and it is exhausting. When you stop explaining, you shatter the mirror. You refuse to be a reflection of their expectations. You become a void. They look at you expecting the familiar, pleasing image they're used to, but it's not there. Instead, there is just you, solid, real, undefined by their gaze. And this terrifies them. Because if you are not a mirror for them, they are forced to see themselves. Your unexplained no does not reflect your selfishness. It reflects their entitlement. Your unexplained boundary does not reflect your coldness. It reflects their habit of overstepping. Your unexplained life choice does not reflect your foolishness. It reflects their own fear and conformity. Nietzsche wrote that if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. Way mystique to be forman. When you stop being a mirror, you become that abyss. You become a silent, sovereign presence that forces people to confront their own motives, their own insecurities, their own hidden agendas. Their anger, their irritation, their accusations. That is the sound of the abyss gazing back at them. It is not about you anymore. You have successfully removed yourself from the center of their drama. You have become the backdrop against which they are forced to see their own performance. This is a profound act of liberation. You stop being a character in everyone else's play, and become the silent, watchful author of your own. But this requires a kind of ruthlessness. An internal Machiavellianism. You must be willing to be misunderstood. You must be willing to let them be uncomfortable. You must prioritize your own integrity over their immediate, emotional comfort. You must choose yourself so consistently and so completely that they forget there was ever another option. You must let your own gaze, your own self-assessment, be the only mirror that matters. When you achieve this, you stop reacting to the world, and you start creating it. The path of the sovereign is a lonely one. Let's not pretend otherwise. The warmth of the herd is seductive. The comfort of shared, unquestioned beliefs is a powerful anesthetic. To choose to walk away from that is to choose a certain kind of cold. Nietzsche's creator must ascend the mountain, away from the marketplace where everyone is shouting their opinions, their justifications, their shared truths. On that mountain, the air is thin, and it is quiet. At first, this quiet will feel like abandonment. The phone stops ringing as much. The invitations dwindle. The people who only knew you as a pleasing, available resource will fade away. They don't know what to do with the new, solid version of you. You will be tempted to run back down the mountain, to send a text, to make a call, to explain the new you, to make them understand, to try and bridge the gap. Don't. This is the most critical phase. This is the detox. The loneliness you feel is not a sign of failure. It is the feeling of your soul recalibrating. It is the sound of your own voice, faint at first, beginning to speak in the silence. You must learn to listen to that voice. It is the only one that has your best interests at heart. It is the only one that knows your true purpose. It has been drowned out for years by the noise of the herd. In this sacred solitude, you build a new kind of relationship. A relationship with yourself. You learn to source your validation from within. You learn to trust your own instincts. You learn that your own approval is the only approval that can ever truly set you free. This is not the bitter loneliness of the outcast. It is the powerful solitude of the king or queen in their own throne room. From this place you can choose to engage with the world, but you engage from a position of wholeness, not of need. You no longer go to others as a beggar asking for scraps of validation. You go as an equal, a sovereign, offering your presence as a gift, not a plea. The relationships that survive this transition will be transformed. They will be deeper, more authentic, based not on utility, but on genuine respect. The people who can meet you on this new ground are the only ones who are ever truly meant to be in your life. But you will never find them until you are willing to lose everyone else. You must be willing to be completely and utterly alone. To stand on that mountain, with nothing but your own will to keep you warm. It is from that stark and silent place that true power is born. It is from that place you finally stop needing permission from anyone to simply be who you are. And so, we arrive at the final state. The state of being an unmoved mover. This is not about being emotionless. It is not about being rigid. It is about being so deeply rooted in your own core that the chaos of the world moves around you, not through you. Think of a great mountain. It does not explain why it is there. It simply is. The wind howls, the storms rage, the seasons change upon its face. Leisure. The mountain feels it all, but it does not move. It is not defined by the weather. It is defined by its own granite heart. This is your goal. To cultivate a core so solid, so true, that the opinions, judgments, and emotional storms of others are just weather. You can observe them. You can feel them. But they do not dislodge you from your center. They do not alter your path. When someone criticizes you, you don't crumble and rush to explain. You observe the criticism. You feel the sting, and you remain unmoved. Your sense of self is not up for debate. When someone misunderstands you, you don't panic and try to control their narrative. You allow them their misunderstanding. You accept that you cannot control the inner world of another, and you remain unmoved. Your truth does not require their belief to be valid. This is the end of all performance. You no longer have to manage the stage. You no longer have to worry about the audience. You are simply living your truth and allowing the world to have whatever reaction it will have. This is the ultimate freedom. A freedom purchased with great discipline and courage. The courage to be silent. The courage to be still. The courage to be alone. It all begins with one small act of rebellion. The next time you feel that urge, that hot pressure to justify your existence, resist, say no, and then say nothing else. Choose, and then let the choice speak for itself. Act, and let the action be the only commentary. Embrace the silence that follows. Let the awkwardness hang in the air. Feel it, don't fix it. This is your first taste of real power. It will feel like a risk, but it is the only path to a life that is truly your own. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop asking for permission to be. Just be. And let the world tremble.